Hello, this is AstrologyNewsReport.com with your hosts, David Anton Savage and Ron Berger.
Now we go to our third segment of this week's report, People in the News, where we will analyze the Vedic astrology birth chart of a newsworthy person, place, or event.
This week we've decided to analyze the birth chart of Vladimir Putin.
Actually, we examined his chart back in September last year.
But now we want to check in and see what the heck is going on with Vlad, since he has been on quite a tear lately.
And causing quite a bit of alarm on the world stage.
So let's first do a quick review of his birth chart, and then we'll analyze what sorts of astrological influences he is currently under and what to expect going down the road.
Well, first off, Putin is Libra rising. The ruler of Libra, Venus, is here in its own sign, which makes the house of self strong. A lot of politicians and leaders are Libra rising. Two who immediately come to mind are Adolf Hitler and Hillary Clinton. Libra is an idealist. Libra seeks to apply those ideals to society, even if those ideals are not exactly universally held.
The question is, what are Putin's ideals? Another feature of this chart is that packed 12th house. The 12th house is the house of institutions and hidden actions. Putin has his natal Sun and Saturn here, a combination that shows powerful organizational and administrative abilities, and you can imagine he has had to be very skillful in the world of Russian politics.
And Saturn is conjunct Neptune. When the planet of reality combines with the planet of illusions, it means you can't be deceived. Putin really sees through any attempts at deception from others. After all, he is an ex-KGB guy.
At the same time, he has Mercury, the thinking planet, in the 12th house. This shows that he hides his thoughts well. There's a lot going on inside this guy.
And the other occult, secretive house, the 8th house, is powerful too, with an exalted moon. The 8th is the house of clandestine activities. The moon is your instincts. Putin is instinctually secretive, underhanded. So we are not surprised that this is the chart of an ex-KGB officer.
And what about Mars, the planet of aggression and combat? It is strongly placed in his 3rd house, in a fire sign, Sagittarius. This placement indicates he has powerful desires. He's got plenty of juice for going after what he wants, and he's not afraid of anything or anybody.
One last thing I want to call attention to is his natal Jupiter, which is exactly square the Rahu-Ketu axis. This pattern is recognized in Vedic astrology as indicating an extremist, either one extreme or the other, never down the middle. This strong combination runs counter to the Libra ascendant's normal desire to find balance and harmony.
So the question now is, what is Putin's game plan? He says he's going to protect Russians everywhere. Does that mean he's going to take back the rest of Ukraine? Is he going to stop with just Crimea? What about the other former Soviet socialist republics that were once part of the USSR? What about their future independence?
Okay, so to get some context, we start out with the Vimshatari Dasha, the planetary period system. Putin is currently in his Saturn major period and Sun sub-period. This directly activates his powerful Sun-Saturn conjunction in the 12th house. That's power plus control in the house of stealth.
With that powerfully strong 12th house now in play, Mr. Putin is no chump when it comes to behind-the-scenes actions and secret dealings. His spy master's 12th house serves him well. He's no stranger to the use of psyops.
With that as a background, now let's look at what the transits are doing.
First off, Mars is the planet of action and aggression. And of course, no surprise that Putin is under a strong Mars influence. It has been transiting in his Libra ascendant since early February. But just a few weeks ago, Mars went retrograde. So how would that change the picture, Ron?
Well, it certainly can change the ultimate outcome of his recent actions. Remember that initiating something while Mars is retrograde has the built-in danger of backfiring. Also, Mars retrograde can get really impatient and angry. The planet is being held back, and then when it goes, it explodes into action.
And then there's Rahu. That just adds an element of obsession. It makes him really determined. And Saturn's there as well, also retrograde, meaning he will not back down.
By standing up to the West, Putin looks tough in a country where many envy the West. Like many forms of nationalism, Russia's is stoked by an inferiority complex. In this case, a belief that the West doesn't accept Moscow's importance. But by taking Crimea while Mars is retrograde in his ascendant, Putin may very well end up on the short end of the stick when all is said and done.
I see that right now retrograde Mars is moving into his 12th house and will immediately conjunct his natal Mercury. Since Mercury is a planet essential to making decisions, couldn't the Mars transit cause him to make really bad, hasty decisions?
Yep, I totally agree with you there, David. Mercury prefers to gather the data, analyze, and then make the move. But with Mars retrograde putting the pressure on, there's certainly a danger of making a mistake, a miscalculation.
But I think the real crux of the matter is that he is now going to have retrograde Mars transiting through his 12th house, where it will directly hit 4 natal planets. This is a really malefic transit to a house with a lot of karma packed into it. Mercury is his thinking and decision-making, Neptune is his fantasies and unresolved karma, Saturn is his reality structure, and the Sun is his own power and authority. All of them get assaulted and distorted by this Mars transit over the next 8 weeks. I think he could be in serious trouble.
I see what you're getting at, David. Putin is actually quite vulnerable in the coming months. The 12th house signifies that which is hidden from us, the unknown, and uncertainty in general. With Mars, the attack planet, you get attack from a hidden enemy.
This could also manifest as betrayal from an unexpected quarter, someone he trusts, someone he relies on. It could be that his support is suddenly taken away.
Yeah, well, if Putin loses support from his billionaire oligarch friends, his fortunes could change rather rapidly. This is probably why the USA has gone out of its way to target specific individuals rather than focus on the country or institutions when laying out its sanctions over the Crimean takeover.
Putin is savvy enough to know this, and I am sure a number of phone calls have been made to certain people. But the read off the chart clearly shows a rough time in the near future. His Sun subperiod activates his 11th house of gains and friends, but here it is placed in the 12th house of loss.
The impact of the Mars transit could activate this loss karma, even though he does look vulnerable with this nasty Mars transit hitting his 12th house. Still, his 12th house is strong, and its themes play to his inherent strengths.
Having 4 natal planets there in the 12th makes this part of the chart familiar territory for Mr. Putin.
Yeah, actually, another potential here could be an attempt on his life. I mean, since Mars is the planet of violence and attack, and retrogradation gives unusual results, and the 12th house, amongst its significations, is also the house of assassins. And there are Chechens, Crimean Tatars, and Ukrainian nationalists, all of whom harbor a great hatred for the man and his actions, especially of late.
The retrograde condition of Mars does give the planet extra strength, but retrograde planets are notoriously unreliable, so predicting just what happens may be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, and as we have said, Mars is the planet of action. Therefore, it reacts most unfavorably to having its energy held back. Potential for screw-ups and blowback from actions initiated out of frustration are par for the course in this situation, and continue for the next several weeks. I think he's in for a rough time.
Yes, let's hope that Putin can get a bit more time swimming with the dolphins.
Oh, better to swim with the dolphins than with the sharks.
And with that, Ron, we have to say das vidanya.
Yes, David, until next time. Thanks for joining us here on AstrologyNewsReport.com.